We live in a consumerist society. That means we are always trying to consume something. We are always trying to maximize on our consumption. We are always trying to increase the GDP. We are always comparing ourselves with the amount of money that we have. We are always complaining that we do not have enough amount of money. We are always talking about getting something new, experiencing something new, and not with the environment, but with the product. That's why we call it a consumerist society. Now, such type of consumerist society is essentially and intricately based on a industrial production, and it's essentially production guided, production dominant economy. Of course, production will not be utilized unless there is a marketability of it. But then you produce it, you pollute it, you market it, you spoil people, you change their habits, you again create problem, and then you again go on to launch a new product and a new venture or a new concept, and this cycle keeps on going, Ultimately, to keep everything in form of dollars, because that is the reserve that we have it right now. Had it been something like gold standards, things would have been different. But then US is able to make its dominance felt in the whole of the world and throughout the whole of the world only in the form of why exactly most of the reserves of currencies and wealth is going to be kept in dollar form. Now, of course, they don't going to know the form and the meaning of a sampatti. Sampada also, none of them. They only go on to know the meaning of and the whole of the Western world. Only one name, and that is wealth, that is synonymous to money. Consequently, when we go on to talk about the problems that the world faces, and it creates a problem, it doesn't go to create one, it creates a bevy of problems, a variety of type of problems that is going to be created all in all. And these problems are many of them. The beginning is going to be with respect to the notions of industrialization. Now, that is the root cause of most of the problem. We do going to live in a world where we are talking about that we are the product of industrial revolution. And industrial revolution was something that changed the whole of the world. Industrial revolution was something that has done a lot of good to mankind. It's just the opposite. Industrial revolution has been the greatest bane to the mankind. And it has been the most exploitative, it has been the most polluting, it has also been the most complex, and it has also been colonial minded, it has also been discriminatory and whatnot. Of course, we can always go on to debate that part, that is it, why exactly was it so? But of course, any country, like the Western countries, do not going to be having a civilization, and these countries have hardly seen 200, 300 years, or maybe maximum 500 years of history. They are bound to be running into problem. And if they think that they have got everything right, that is going to be even more problem. It's like a fool which starts understanding that they are wise. Consequently, the Western countries do going to be having a hackneyed notions of industrialization. Now, industrialization, in the true sense, understand that part. What exactly does it mean there? In the true sense of the term, industrialization is a process of value addition to goods, to resources, to your environmental resources, to your skill, to an event, to your thinking, to your idea on a very large scale, to such an extent that you are able to produce, you are able to serve, and you are able to provide services to the society. And that may not be necessarily in the form of manufacturing. So you are able to provide services to the society on a mass scale without jeopardizing the environment, because if you pollute the environment, you degrade the environment, ultimately you are the one who have to take care of it. You will have to invest money out of it. You will have to do something for that purpose as well. So it is a process of value addition to a resource, to a concept, to a type of a geographical entity, by addition of variety of type of skills, by addition of knowledge, by addition of so much amount of intellect. And that is the basic reason. That is most of this manufacturing, most of this entrepreneurship was given in Sanatan, in ancient India, to the people with the highest integrity, because this has an after effect and a shock effect of diluting and degrading the society, degrading the people, and degrading the way that the people can go on to think of. That has been the notion of industrialization. Consequently, you can go on to take example in a cue for it that India was one of the most industrialized of the countries ever. At one point of a time, and at any point of a time, it is responsible for 66% of world's GDP. So you can imagine there is no country in the world that can go to match that aspect of industrialization or industrial growth or development, the type which has been seen in India, as has been observed in India and experienced in the country. Now came the Western countries, and what they did was they completely changed the notion of industrialization. Of course, they were armed with that type of an infodemics, information war. They were armed with a perception management technique that was a weapon for them. And with the help of it, they were able to dwell upon in many countries, including India, and I say that. And after years of suppression, manipulation, and so on and so forth, of course, with an avowed help of the Indian people themselves, it was these people, the Indian people themselves, who allowed themselves to be colonized, who allowed themselves to be exploited, who allowed themselves to be degraded, who allowed themselves to be divided, who allowed themselves to go for underdevelopment only because of certain selfish interests. So they imposed upon India the concept and a notion of industrialization that was completely Western. And this Western notion was you have to manufacture. In the process of manufacturing, you have to extract certain materials from the earth, which the results of which and the effects of which were completely unknown. And over and above, you have to produce something whose effects again were going to be unknown. And then you have to create an ecosystem, the effects of which were again going to be unknown, and then thereafter, one after another, after another, after another, and so on and so forth. That is what has started happening there. So it all boiled down to the fact that the notion of industrialization that was untested in the Western world with the dominant use of coal, machinery, exploitative labor, and imagine in Sanatan, there is nothing called as exploitation. There is nothing called as a degradation of the environment. Nothing at all. It has been never ever so at all. Now that has been the concept and that has been the notion associated with the Western world. Now it is bound to create problem. That is the Western notions with their hackneyed aspects of and ill-cooked notions of so-called industrialization are always going to be running into trouble. Sometimes pollution, sometimes disease, sometimes degradation, sometimes global warming, sometimes industrial relations, sometimes any of these problems. So that is the root cause of all of the problems. Second has been associated with navigating changing laws amidst changing compliances, regulations, and traceability. So we accept that we have accepted the Western notions of industrialization. Now, once you have accepted it, then there are always going to be changing notions, laws, amidst changing compliances, regulations, and traceability. Understand that part? Changing regulations have become part and parcel of the industrial ecosystems. Manufacturers have to follow many compliance standards. Manufacturers could well end up cutting corners, which ultimately ends up affecting the end consumer. So, for the sake of things such as quality control or proper waste management, compliance standards need to exist. However, complying with new standards isn't an easy task for manufacturers. More often than not, they're a burden and thanks to so-called globalization, that was another mark of the Western imposition of the concepts, and they have a cartel by way of which they can go to impose a lot of things onto the rest of the world to exploit them. So thanks to globalization, manufacturers are also forced to deal with regulations that are unique to each territory. So some of these things, like for Africa, it is unique. For India, it is unique. For Uttar Pradesh, it will be unique. For Bihar, it will be unique. For Maharashtra, it will be unique. And for Western Europe, it will be unique. For China, it will be unique. And because that every place isn't going to be having an industrial milieu which is going to be same or synonymous to each other. Manufacturers are also asked while tracking compliances as well. This means that they have to go through the entire supply chain for compliances, right from vendors to the end products that's sent to the customer. All in all, this goes on to be a difficult process. It's a difficult task right now. This is largely because, of course, you know that is going to be cutthroat competition. Other has been finding and keeping labor. Now, why is this going to be difficult? Labor is important because it is not institutionalized. It is not like that of Sanatan, which has been institutionalized. And there is no model better than that of the Sanatan economic development model, which has been sustainable, which has been very, very comfortable. It's a different matter that the same aspect has been given in the form of a perception that is not at all receptive at all. And when we're going to talk about perception, just think of it. You are talking about division of labor, you talk about a specialization, and you're going to be talking about a pool of labor that is going to be having a supply, a constant supply and a sustainable supply. And then someone comes and inserts a germ in you that is the whole of the society is divided into caste. Now, everything is off. So that is not going to be so. Essentially, what is going to be so is you have to constantly train people. Now, in the Sanatan system, all of these things used to be trained naturally and in a natural succession. So once you have to train it, you have to retain them as well. Now, speaking of retention, retaining seasoned staff in an environment where employees consistently make lateral moves to improve their salary and benefits can be very, very challenging, largely because they're all looking for changing their work profile, changing their acceptability, changing the salaries that they're going to get, changing and coming to challenges of the evolving industrial economics as well. So in order to make the business the best place, you have to encourage, someone has to encourage the employees to stay, and creating a culture where employees feel valued contributes to employees' desire to stay in that place. And that is not an all difficult task. That is not at all an easy task, considering that it is not following the Sanatan mechanism. And we keep on talking about it because now it is getting proven. This is something that has been hidden from the whole of the world with an avowed aim of ruling over Indian masses. A lot of things that have been associated with the Sanatan culture, Sanatan industrial part, Sanatan manufacturing has been completely hidden in this case. The fourth has been a skill gap and bridging the skilled labor gap. This was again not a problem in Sanatan, largely because there was a constant supply of skilled labor. That was through the Varnashram Vyavastha. That means there was a carpenter. The carpenter will go on to have an ecosystem in his own house, and he will go on to produce a masterly craftsman in this case. A masterly craft in this case. So in a similar manner, sculpture will also go on to do the same thing, and so on and so forth. It's like you can understand it in a modern terminology. A lawyer who has thousands of books and an ecosystem completely made, he will be able to produce a good lawyer. Of course, it will go on to depend a lot of things on the talent of the lawyer as well, advocate as well, the evolution of the logic as well, what type of logic is it that they're going to be using, and so on and so forth. So, As one generation exits the workforce, it makes way for a new generation of workers in the new form. And the transition in itself is quite a challenge, but then things are very, very different today. Manufacturers say, or a good number of industries in the whole of the world face the challenge of filling up these positions with equally skilled members from the current generation. But then the new generation of employees is simply not skilled enough to making challenges even harder. In India, that is going to be even more difficult because none of these people, good number of people, don't going to go for entrepreneurship at all. Most of them go for government services. And why is it that there is a charm of government services? Because in the government services, you can always go to substitute the authority that you have with money. You can go to take bribes, and of course, that speaks the charm of Indian administrative service, and so on, so forth. Because there is so much amount of money involved. You one sign, you can go on to change here and there itself. That is one part. And of course, at SSC level, at a railway level, at what not, you have a problem. You have to always look for challenges in this case. This is largely because this is a type of a system that has come to India where a good number of people don't want to be entrepreneurs. They want to be government employees. Well, that is why the challenge is going to be even more. Now, thanks to the advent of new technology, manufacturing firms find themselves in less need of employees. However, they need workers with different set of skills. A specific tasks around manufacturing has also been automated as well. Manufacturers now require workers with top tech skill sets. They need employees with their own analytical mind. And the desire for an unskilled and trainable workforce that was embraced some time back is surely shrinking as innovation has become more prevalent in these places. Advances in a variety of sectors like augmented reality sector combined with virtual reality sector, it makes effortless for manufacturers to train on the job and cut on the costs as well. So, of course, this will going to create a variety of new problems also in the near future. And a worker who is able to take a look at a virtual reality and augmented reality, the way it has to be, the training will going to become fast. And the acquisition of this skill set will also go on to become easy. The fifth is growing with increasing demand. Now, in the face of a global pandemic, some manufacturers are facing two demand-related problems in 2020. This will keep on going up till maybe 2023, 24, up till the traces of pandemic happen to affect the world, or they are visible and they're discernible in the landscape of it. One of them is that you have so much amount of demand that you need to increase supply, you need to increase the capacity. And the second is that demand-driven manufacturing is impacting the most important company goals. And increasing the capacity means that is the demand. You need to increase capacity can force choices like moving to a new facility or expanding existing facility. Of course, that comes with a bevy of problems, particularly in places where new ecosystems have to be developed in this case. The second is demand-driven manufacturing. Many manufacturers are just keeping up with work based on orders from existing customers, leaving little time or money to invest in other critical initiatives. There are four challenges that stand in the way of growth of demand-driven manufacturers. The first is new equipment cost, that's one. Second is the cost of acquiring new customers. Third is the need of a new facility as well. And of course, to maintain all of them and to manage all of them in this case here. Then other is going to be associated with maximizing automation. Now, COVID-19 has shown that this is a critical time to explore the implementation of automation technologies, of course, and a lot of other things as well, including collaborative robotics, autonomous material movement, Internet of Things, and artificial intelligence. However, these type of investments aren't always easy to grab, always not easy to stomach also. Often the investment comes down to cost-benefit analysis because you have to talk about how much amount of cost you have put in and how much amount of benefit is it that you are going to be getting out of it. estimates on how you would benefit from increased automation compared to how much it will cost to implement is always going to be a tricky situation, and it is always going to be fraught with certain type of dangers, not at all inexpensive at all. When I say inexpensive, it's not that cheap, but then the costs are going to be huge in this case. Then there are going to be limitations of machine intelligence. The use of AI, artificial intelligence, and other aspects are always going to be daunting. A manufacturing industry is increasing using Internet of Things. A majority of firms either have already implemented the technology or are on the verge of implementing the Internet of Things machine. Some of these smart machines assist companies in collecting useful information that can aid in improving productivity and implementing a predictive maintenance. But gathering information is not at all an easy task. As we say, that is data is the new oil, data is the new soil. Analyzing and aggregating collected data is going to be a challenging part. And with some of these firms already having the machines on their shelves, most of them don't have a system to analyze and extract information being captured by the internet, being captured from all over the world. In this particular sense, the industry is missing out on a very vital opportunity. And that's largely because they don't know how to do it. The entire industry needs to better on data mining capacity. And this way, they will be in a better position to make better and real-time decisions as well. Implementing the Internet of Things designed to assist and manage analytics and predictive maintenance is essential. And this can be made easy with the help of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence will go on to help in a variety of ways. But when you're going to be talking about AI-based systems, it may go on to all in all reduce your cost, but then the operational cost will be reduced. But then the capital costs go on to be very, very high. And when the capital costs are going to be very high, you have to recover these capital costs also at an opportune time. Otherwise, it really becomes tricky. Then handling global competition, you are going ahead with it. There, you have to enter into competition that way. Now, there are three things to consider concerning international business for all of these type of manufacturers and industries. One of them is the hidden cost of low prices, like language barrier issues, jeopardizing one's own intellectual property in this case, or taking multiple trips outside for the purpose of building a market, or maybe even marketing it, or maybe selling it as well. Second is international supply base. Now, COVID-19 has greatly disrupted international supply chains, and many manufacturers don't have contingency plans to deal with such type of supply disruption. Reshoring may be sometime better and somehow affordable as well in order to grow business. And reshoring is what we are going to be talking about. That is increasing reshoring. Now, it's a solution as well. There are problems as well with reshoring as well. Now, regulations with regard to sustainable and environmental safe processes and practices put more strain on the manufacturing process. Whether it is waste disposal or regulation of materials, more resources are needed to follow so-called best practices. Now, companies will be increasingly motivated to participate in reshoring efforts in the coming years due to rising foreign wages. That means all the people of India who are in Dubai, who are in Saudi Arabia, all of these places, they will keep on facing this problem. There will be rising tariffs on steel, and aluminum, and electrical components as well, and a reconsideration of the total cost of the ownership. So that puts most of this manufacturing in a real tricky situation. Not only manufacturing, industries as well, a variety of type of industries in a tricky situation. That is going to be a major aspect, coping with digital marketing strategy. Living in a digital world, using YouTube, using Facebook, using Twitter, or whatever Pinterest in that form is really going to be a difficult process. The effective use of digital channels to drive leads, sales, and MRR are some of the primary digital transformation challenges the manufacturing industry faces. Manufacturing industry, we are talking about. Many manufacturing companies are having difficulty being efficient, effective, and measuring the impact of their marketing channels like paid media, enterprise SEO, search engine optimization, local search engine optimization, content strategy, or social media. It's not that you can go to put something on social media and that will go on to become viral. Either you have to follow a strategy, or you don't know, you will go to put some of these things, maybe it will go on to be liked by someone. Now, one of the primary challenges these most often the industries face is that their digital experience, website design, presentation of their brand, and now some time back there used to be something like some 10 variables. Now the number of variables for the purpose of reaching to consumers is going to be, can you imagine, maybe 30, 40, 50, 70 as well, twice as much as what they used to be some time back. So in order to go ahead with enjoying the manufacturing resurgence, this is all that is going to be required. Not to speak of it, we are in the age where environmental concerns are going to be equally significant and important. Now, what is going to be talked about with respect to environmental concern is aggravated by COP26, the one that was held in Glasgow, and all of these countries concerned, they have taken a pledge to cut on their greenhouse emissions, of course, go for green energy. West have already earned money. West have already formed a cartel. The West have already dirtied the environment. The West have already inserted a lot of toxic materials into the environment. And now they say, well, we didn't know that. And it is up to the whole of the world how to clean it. And they will keep on making it dirty, and most of these countries that will going to be following it, they have to clean it. Now, so every industry will go to be having certain type of regulations with respect to sustainability and environmentally safe processes and practices. And that is going to put a strain on manufacturing process. So whether it's waste disposal or regulation of materials, whether it is a type of energy that is being used, everything is going to be coming at a price right now. And manufacturers do not know how, they have not been able to figure out how to leverage such type of technology, innovative ideas to keep up with the changes that their government commits in international forum, and how is it that they can go to get themselves adapted to such type of a situation as well. Now that goes on to become a major aspect in this case. Now, talking about all of them, you have a lot of things that have been given to you in a graphic form as well, as you can go to talk about. That is a skill labor gap, machine intelligence, maximizing automation, system age and usability. That is going to be part of one. And then you have another aspect associated with it. This is going to be associated with trade war effects, cyber war threats, supply chain visibility, reshoring, responding to COVID-19. A combination of all of them, that is to aid you and to help you. That is what will go on to get you know what are the recent industrial problems and how is it that one can go to cope up with it. Now, the solution is not going to be here at all. It's not going to be a simple solution, and these are not simple topics for which solution can be in one go or maybe in one session as well. The solutions keep on following it.
To have more such discussions and analysis, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for notifications on our upcoming videos.